All right, question of the day. Because today we're doing a roundup, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put it to you. Which of the titles do you like better? Cheese, Cretans of the Forest, and Child Killers? Or do you like The Force, Fromage, and Forest Shuffle? The expansion. Anyway, today we're taking a look at a couple of different things, three different things in general. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, A, I wanted to do the review on Battle of Hoth. I know it's got a lot of coverage right now already with the Dice Tower, and I know that it's kind of came out mid-year, and then Fromage the same way. Like, it came out last year at some point, but I finally got my copy of it. I played it on the cruise last year and really liked it, but I never did a full review of it. So I thought I would do a full review of Fromage, a quick overview of Battle for Hoth, kind of the early missions, and then a look at the expansion for Forest Shuffle that I had that somehow slipped through the cracks that I never shot a video for. So we're going to do that right now. Let's start with Fromage. All right, this is Fromage, not to be confused with the upcoming Formaggio. It's French. So you've got these four quadrants that will puzzle piece together, and you have this center one that will also puzzle piece in. What that does is causes everything to be random, even the locations of these. Now, why does that matter? I'll show you. Everyone's going to get a player board with some starting resources. The starting resources would be one resource from the square across from you, so I would start with one cow and two fruit. The other person would get one structure and two cards. The way this works, on your turn, you're going to do two actions guaranteed. You can do two actions guaranteed, and you may be able to do some other fruit. So, on your turn, you can make a cheese. Let's start with a better example first. This is actually my least favorite area because it's majorities. Let's start here. So you can make a cheese by taking your worker. You have workers of the three types of cheeses, hard, soft, and blue. And what you're going to do is you're going to place them out, one down here, and you can place one up here. If you place it up here, you get the resource. Now, the reason the number matters and the direction, at the beginning of your turn, you're going to take your workers back. You can only take workers back that are facing you, which means if you unlock this first space, this one is a free action space that you can use, not a free action, but you can place a worker on it. But notice it's always facing you, so you will always get this worker back at the end of your turn. But it does take a worker. Now, that means that on some turns, you're not going to have all your workers. Why? Well, because, notice, this 3 space, you would gain 3 resource cards. But as the board turns, that character won't come back around to you for 2 more turns. 3 more turns, really. So anybody facing you, you get. When you place a cheese, it has to match the type. So this one would be a bronze hard cheese. You'll put a cheese token here. You'll put your guy on top of it. And then obviously when the board rotates, you'll get this one back because it's only a 1 space. Bronze is 1 turn, silver is 2 turns, gold is 3 turns. If it has a jam or a fruit on it, you will spend the resources. Now all of your regular fruit goes here, and then you choose, do I want to spend it for dried fruit or do I want to spend it for preserves? And that's how that works. So you would spend, if you wanted to place here in the gold, you would get your worker back in 3 turns. You would spend a fruit from here into here. The way this scores at the end of the game is it's this dried fruit times your preserve. So if you only have 1 here and 2 here, that's only 2 points. However, if you've got 3 here and 3 here, it's 9 points. Pretty simple. You also have order cards, which is what's up there currently. Order cards are when you make the type of cheese in the age process, you move the order card. So if I was to make this cheese here, I would have completed this and move it over to the completed. And those will be worth points based on your player board at the end of the game, just like here. Structures. You can get these structure tokens, which are these little buildings. You'll spend them to cover up the scaffolding here. So the scaffolding will cover here, and I will now have access to that. If you put 2 here, you gain access to that. The cow tokens are used to get a free cheese. Now that would be a way you could get 2 cheeses in 1 turn. Spend 2 cattle here or 2 livestock here to gain a soft cheese bronze, pointing to the right. Now that matters, and it has to be in the area when you choose to spend it. Has to be in the area. So the only one we could do would be this one right there. And I think you could do the fruit one too and just spend it, but I'll have to look at that. Now let's talk about the way these areas score. So this one is adjacency. So these ones with the French flag essentially are free for everyone. So let's just say we had cheeses here, here, and here at the end of the game. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go to the chart, that's 9 points. That's how the festival scores. Now, everybody also has a thing on their structures. When building in the festival for this player, they gain a cow. Everyone's different. All of these are different, and you can draft them out to be even more different with tokens. This one, the fromagerie here, has got different trays. Now, basically, you're going to get points for being in each of these different shelves. They also give you bonuses when you place them, like case in point. So here, you can trade a resource for another one. Here, you gain a resource of your choice. Here, gain any 2 resources. Here is gain 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. I actually would have won the game because I had, now that I'm looking at that, we forgot to score that. Here is you're going to get points per cheese on the plate, depending on the level you are of pairs. So if I don't have any pairs, my bronze plates are worth nothing, silver's 2, gold is 4. The first pair I get, which means having a cheese in both plates on a table, you move to the next tier. This one is majority scoring. You're going to score here based on tokens that are out here. Whoever's in the most section, or whoever has the most influence in that section. So notice bronze is only in 1 section, silver's in 2, and then gold is in 3. Once someone places their last cheese token, that's the end of the game. Everyone finishes that turn, and everyone plays simultaneously, which I love. You'll then count points. Person with the most points wins the game, and that is Fromage. So first and foremost, I love this game. I think Fromage is a fantastic game. The only thing I'm going to ding it for, and instead of doing the full long review on this, I will break down the components. First of all, the components look great. I think the player boards look nice. I like that muted art style, and I'm a big fan of the quote-unquote dry Euro occupational games, right? This would be right for the WWE in WWF in 1992, right? Everybody's got an occupational gimmick. You got a plumber, a race car driver, a repo man, an undertaker, a tax guy. I love that style of game. I love it where you're like, hey, you're gonna make cheese. Hey, you're gonna run a food chain magnet store. You're gonna make sure your family doesn't die in France. You know, I love kind of those dry Euros where you build an engine and survive. And that to me is what Fromage is really about. Not so much building the engine because there's a little engine building to it, but I love the idea of you're just making cheese and selling cheese. So the game looks great. Mechanics wise, I love the idea of the rotating board. Now, it is solitaire with the exception of you can block people, especially at higher player counts. In lower player counts, it's a lot harder to block people. In playing with 4, you're going to notice that some spots are taken that you can't take, such as resource spots. Not a big deal, but it's possible. But I love the idea of the board rotating and turning so that you only play in this quadrant. That person plays there, that person plays there. I think that's such a cool thing where, yes, you are only, and it's simultaneous, so it makes the game go really fast. So if you want a kind of a lighter medium Euro, and I say lighter for a reason, that you can kind of bang through really fast, Fromage is great for that. And I'm looking forward to Fromage for that too. Where I'm going to ding it though, the only place I'm going to ding it is because once you played it a good amount of times, you're going to feel pretty rinse and repeat. Like there aren't a ton of strategies you can do. Now, yeah, the player boards do change a little bit. You have different benefits and powers and things to score on. And you can min-max your score out by building that final part of the not warehouse, whatever it's called, with the, oh gosh, where you put the scaffolding pieces and score off that. You can do that, but at some point, you're still only scoring these 4 areas. Now, yeah, it is cool too that there's the variable thing where you can change out your tiles at the top. I think that's cool. I just would like to see just a little bit more variety, like an expansion, and maybe there is one, and I don't know it, right? And Formaggio may handle this too, that changes the board itself. I know the board is kind of the main part of the game, but it'd be nice if there was like, an A, B, and C version, even just an overlay you put down where it changes the rules slightly for each of the 4 things you do. That way you can randomly pick one. I think Terraforming Mars did a good job with this, even though the rules are the same. Having those different maps is really nice. So having just a little bit of variety would be nice. But Fromage is a fantastic game. It's an 8.0 for me. It'd be a 9 if it didn't have that kind of bug in it where it's just, once you played enough, you go, okay, I'm going to do the same thing over and over. Now, I do this in Forest Shuffle, which is funny, but in Forest Shuffle, for some reason, I love this game. And so let's take a look at the expansion I didn't cover. I can't even remember the name of it right now. It'll be in the thumbnail and it'll be in the overview when I talk about it. But let's talk about that expansion. All right, this is Forest Shuffle Woodland Edge expansion. I'm not going to show you the cards in here because they're just like normal cards. They're going to have the set symbol expansion on it. They're going to add new butterflies, which take the scoring for butterflies way up. And they're going to have extra pieces, plus the shrubs. Shrubs can be played like a tree in the sense that they provide a slot for 1 card on each of their 4 sides like trees and have permanent effects like mushrooms. You should already apply these effects when you play the shrub bonuses. They're neither trees nor mushrooms. That's the main change. There's some different animals in here. There's some different things like that, but the main change is that shrubs can be added and give you room to play your cards onto them like you would a tree. You're going to take out some extra cards if you're playing with this expansion, and then you're going to play Forest Shuffle with these very small but incredible tweaks to the game. So what I love about Forest Shuffle in the first place, I don't know that I ever reviewed Forest Shuffle. Maybe I did. I'd have to look back. I love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's definitely my number one nature game of all time too. Just ahead of Clover. Just ahead of Earth, really. I love it. I think it's one of the best tableau builders of all time. I really do. I think it's just fantastic. It does an amazing job at letting you feel like what you're doing matters. And every time you play, while yes, you're going to see the same cards, you're going to play differently every time because of what you're dealt. It's kind of like Mahjong, American Mahjong. You're going to play differently based on what you're dealt. And sometimes you may be doing the the butterfly, insect, what is the bird? I can't think of it right now. Oh, it's going to kill me that I can't think of this. Oh, gosh, it's 2 words. Anyway, it's 2 points per insect. So if you have hedgehogs, that bird, 2 of those birds, and then a whole bunch of butterflies and other insects, you can rack up some points. Or the sycamore strategy. If you get 4 sycamore trees out there and you have a ton of trees, man, you can bang out some trees. Fun fact, the violet carpenter bee does not work on sycamore trees. So don't get caught up in that trap. But this expansion, what I love about it, it adds the whole idea of like the shrubs and the bushes and things like that. So you can play them as trees, but they don't count as trees. But if you get stuck, you can use them as trees, and they're always good because they let you draw more cards, or they let you play cards out of your hand of a certain type. Plus, there's things like stinging nettle, and there's other animal cards in there, but the stinging nettle is great because it's also, if you can get the stinging nettle in there with the hedgehogs and the gosh, it's killing me that I can't think of what that bird is. Anyway, that bird, you're gonna score a ton of points on insects. So what I love about a good expansion like this that really is small and it fits in the main box, it's more of what you love already with just a couple tweaks. It's not like a game-changing expansion like I just covered Twilight Imperium, the Twilight Fall expansion, which is like, hey, here's a whole bunch of components not to use. That's not this one. This one is just, hey, add these cards in and play. To me, I love those kind of expansions too, where it's just like, here's more of what you love already. Lastly, that takes us to Battle for Hoth. Battle of Hoth, Star Wars Battle of Hoth. This is Days of Wonder's most recent hit, and it is Command & Colors. It is Memoir 44 in Star Wars, specifically in Hoth. Now, can they expand this out to Genosha? Absolutely. Can they expand this out to any of the other places in the game that a big battle takes place? Of course they can. The end of episode 1, right, where you've got the field with the battle droids versus the Dangungans, right? Oh, but anyway, you could do that. Look, let me pause there for a minute. I loved Star Wars Episode 1 when I was a kid. I was in 6th grade, went at midnight, and it was the greatest experience of my life. It wasn't until later I was told you weren't allowed to like the prequels. And now what's funny is because the sequel trilogy came out, Rian Johnson's like, I'm just going to subvert everyone's expectations. People are like, oh no, the prequels are beloved. And really and truly, I'm going to make a hot take here. I think the plot of Episode 2, the whole like cloak and dagger spy stuff, is fantastic. It was crippled at the time by what we said was wooden acting by Hayden Christensen, who is now beloved by the fans. So it's funny how that opinion changes over 30 years, 25 years. But anyway, Battle of Hoth. Let's take a look at what it does, how it plays. We'll come back up. This is a quick overview because, again, you can watch the live play. You can watch all the other reviews tell you how to play. It's actually really simple. If you played Memoir 44, if you played a Commands and Colors game, it's this. So, all right, this is Battle of Hoth. Actually, not doing a full teach here. I just want to show you the components. So, because you've probably already seen how to play. You probably already know how to play. But first of all, the tray for each player is super nice with the components in there. The board is just like Memoir 44. It's got the hexes on there that you're going to put out. That's actually the double-sided side that you need for 2 players of the game, or 2 copies of the game, which we're going to talk about that in the final thoughts. Right here are the cards. And actually, it's incredibly easy to set up and tear down. There are leaders in here, so you play as one of the leaders as well. And then you have your cards here based on the missions that tell you what to do. You activate all your troops in this section, or activate all troops of a certain type. And then what's really great there are scenarios that you can just pick at random, or you can play this campaign with actual stakes. If you win, do this. If you lose, do this. That kind of stuff. So really, really cool. I just wanted you to take a quick look at this because it's a fantastic production. It's very small. There's actually not a ton in here, but there's almost endless gameplay because of the different scenarios and the different campaigns. So obviously ripe for expansion. So that is Star Wars Battle of Hoth. That is Battle of Hoth. So what I love about this, the miniatures look great. It's quick to play. The 2 players have their little tray. The one downside, I don't like it when games do this. They go, hey, you can also play this 8-person game. Wait, with what I have? No, you need 2 copies of the game. Dang it. That's kind of a downside. It's not a bait and switch, but it's like if it's advertised as part of the game and then you get that and you have 4 friends sitting there, you're like, oh, we can't quite do this, right? We need 2 copies of the game. No big deal. But the actual like Memoir 44, Commands and Colors stuff is just great. And it really works with this whole Battle of Hoth thing, using the speeders and the AT-ATs, or AT-ATs, what do you want to call them? To me, that's really great. I think this was a good adaptation of a rule set and a really well done and a beloved universe and a small box by comparison. I think my Memoir 44 box is a traditional Ticket to Ride size box. But this one, somehow they did it in a little smaller box this way, but it all fits and it all works. So if you haven't played Battle of Hoth, make sure you get this and check it out. It is fantastic. It's a great update to a history game. I love history games. Obviously that whole shelf over there is full of like, Undaunted, the one in France, 1989, 1960, Twilight Struggle should be there. Why is it not there? Now I'm getting nervous where my copy of Twilight Struggle is. Oh no. This is existential crisis going on because I don't know where my copy of Twilight Struggle is. Now I'm getting worried. All right, I'll find it later. Anyway, I love history games, but I also love Star Wars. So seeing them do this works really well. It just does. So that is Battle of Hoth, the 4 Shuffle expansion I can't remember the name of. And then last but not least, it is Fromage. Hopefully you enjoy these games. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Fromage, the 4 Shuffle, just in general experience. 4 Shuffle experience, that sounds like a band. And then Battle of Hoth. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, X, etc. and all that. Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.